Let's do another drunken Q&A. Let me make sure this microphone's on. I once did a drunken rant where the microphone volume wasn't turned on, and I spent like 20 minutes ranting into a microphone that wasn't picking up anything. So after the end of that, I was like, fuck it, I ain't doing it again. Just never uploaded it. So tonight, we're drinking some Cuban rum. I'm not a big fan of rum, but I'm a whiskey man. But since it was gifted to the family, and we had a little family movie night tonight, watching Conan on a theater screen, a semi-theater screen.
Ron, I've never prayed you before. I have no time for it. No one, not even you, will remember if we were good men or bad, why we fought or why we died. No. All that matters is that two stood against many. That's what's important. Baba pleases you, Crom. So grant me one request. Grant me revenge. And if you do not listen, then the hell with you.
Quite epic, and the original Conan. But anyways, so I tried some of this Cuban rum because the doors have just been open to getting Cuban products legally in this country. So why not try it? It's rum. Like I said, I'm not a big fan. We're drinking a little bit of red wine to go with it. So let me get to some of these questions I've been asked that is better answered in video format. First, my views on race. Someone wants to know. Well, my views, I think they go hand in hand with works like A.C. Haddon's The Races of Man and Philip Rushton's Race, Evolution, and Behavior. And what they pretty much state is just the human races are scientifically different. And to me, this seems a common reality. I mean, it should be acknowledged by everyone simply on observation. But, we live in the age where you're told not to believe your eyes, but believe the television instead. So there's a lot of confusion over this because of a lot of the rhetoric put forth in colleges. So I do believe race. I typically believe, although I'm open to 5 or 6 general races, I typically go with, just for the simplification, the 3 general races: Asiatic, Negro, and Caucasoid or European, and then everything stems from mixtures of these. And there's plenty of other views out there where there's 5 or 6 major races, and I'm fine with that too. I'm not. None of these are hills I'm willing to die on. But what I think races are results of evolution, essentially, and to the environments that the species or the different humans grew up in. So I do think there's general truths and general stereotypes to race. I do think certain races are better at certain things and certain races are not better at certain things, generally. But I also believe that any individual of any race, of any ethnicity, if they master their will, they can accomplish anything they desire. 100% believe that. So, but I think the general truths are the general truths. I mean, it is, I believe we should have a full system of meritocracy in America. And, if a lot of Asian males make up a certain job, then so be it, if they're best qualified for it. If a lot of white males make up a certain job, then so be it, if they're best qualified for it. I hate this idea of forcing people in just because other races might be better suited for something. I mean, I think merit should decide. So I do believe I'm a race realist, essentially. Now, I don't hate or look down on anyone. I mean, there are attributes of races that I admire more than other attributes of races, for sure. But I don't look at any of them as negative because they all stemmed from our environments. All these racial differences, if we take the evolutionary model, it was all adaptation to their surroundings. So what may be worse in a Western civilization of comfort and luxury, of modernity, let's say, let me not so much say Western, but of modern Western society, being more aggressive would have panned out in a different field where it's less of this certain kind of civilization, of there's less of this certain sort of comfort in society. So that was more beneficial to a race to be like that. So I don't look at anything as negative. And there was a period of my time where I looked at it as negative. And that was when I was a white nationalist. But it's all natural. And we in America are in this experiment that's failed numerous times. For sure. And possibly could fail again. But we have no choice but to make the best of it. So, and that's it. Because I'm not going to listen to any pipe dreams and anything like this. It's just not going... for the same reasons I can't buy into religions is the same reason I'm not going to buy into that. I can't live my life ignoring what I see right in front of my face. And what's right in front of my face is the reality we face, and it's something we need to deal with and use tools and techniques that history have shown us can work. So, and part of that is speaking to an adult conversation of acknowledging, yes, we are different, but saying we can survive being different and not killing each other through bullets or sperm. And at the same time, while we being different, having a shared destiny. And that's the only way we're going to salvage this country. Anything else, any identitarian bullshit, it's not going to do it. It's not going to fucking do it, okay? So, and I don't care if your memes are dank. That ain't going to fucking do it. So, that's where my views are on race. I do understand. I'm completely aware of the scientific reality of race and the generalization of racial stereotypes I find completely accurate. And these are all things that I think can be beneficial if utilized properly in this society. But they're not now. So that is something that needs to change. That is something I think can change. I think there's always been a mediator, a little beady-eyed mediator that's always kind of gotten in between the dialogue between the races. I think if that is effectively removed, then you can have true conversation and figure out how will this country go forward. But it's going to take adult conversation. And adult conversation means realizing we are different and realizing there's no problem with that. That's fine. We are different. We can make that work. We can be different and make that work without a doubt. So, and I've also had a couple people say, well, you're against white nationalism because you're not pure white and shit like this. And according to 23andMe, my DNA would be 80% different European admixtures and 20% of whatever the common DNA is between Turkey, Syria, and Iran. So whatever that is, their information on the DNA in that part is not that detailed. So it's very vague as far as what specifics it is. As opposed to their European DNA, there's a lot more to pull from. So they can specifically tell you, oh, you're 17% Irish, you're, 13% German, you're et cetera, right? They can break it down like that. But this is completely untrue. This is just someone's way of trying to say, well, he doesn't have a rational reason of not supporting this. No, my reasons of not supporting are completely rational. Because despite what anyone may define me as outside of that, according to this country and our characterization, my characterization in this country, whether I like it or not, I'm going to be classified as white. My kids are, my wife is, her parents are, my brothers are, my friends are. So anything that goes against white identity in this country affects everyone, including myself, in the family circle. So it's not once again, I was an active member, not active fucking online, or active online, but active in my local area as well. And it was never a matter of not being enough, right? It's just, I logically came to the conclusion it's a pipe dream. I looked at a lot of what I was seeing in my local surroundings, and I was seeing what the macro of it was the national surroundings of the people. And I saw the same characteristics. I found for myself there was a lot more low quality people attracted to this scene. And it wasn't that they were bad people. A lot of them had good intentions or good thoughts about themselves, but they were beaten down by modernity, and they couldn't realize it. There was never this, self-awareness. And I saw that was all too common. And that's the results you're going to get. It's, if you allow that. And so when you have an ideology that says just simply because of what you're born, you're elevated or you're accepted, that's not a good method. That's not a good model. That just says, there's no standard to live up to outside of being born. And you don't get good results like that. So I just seen the flaws in the idea. And so that's where I came to the opinion that civic nationalism, and not civic nationalism as a way as like I said, these people are going on about with capitalism and conservatism and i.e. equals nationalism. That's total bullshit. We all know that. It needs to be something that is a lot more masculine than that, or it's not going to work. And I truly believe the position I hold is more beneficial to white people in this country as far as preserving their demographics than anything any identitarian or white nationalist scene is talking about. That's my views on race. I'm a race realist. I don't hate anyone because of their race. I don't hate anyone because of their ethnicity. Of course, there are actions of different races that just aren't, in line with what I agree with or how I behave or how I act. But at the same time, I understand it's a difference thing, and it's not a higher or lower thing. So, and I would hope it would be understood the same way from them as opposed to me and people more, genetically and culturally and traditionally in my ballpark than theirs. So that's how I feel on that. Those are my views on race and the racial situation in America. I'm beating the dead horse here. I think this identitarianism is playing into international finance's hands. We are going to remain divided plebs fighting with each other while the system continues on, because we're too much of a minority on either side to do really anything. So it was the main majority is just going to go along with the system. So you kind of have to have a populist movement and become the system, and then the mainstream will go along with you as well. Next, people keep asking to do videos on people like Franco. Salazar, Pinochet, people like that. The authoritarian conservatives, they really don't entice me to go deep on them or to do explanatory videos. First, there are a lot of stuff out there on a lot of these people. Second, like outside of squashing the left, they also kind of squashed the fascists in their area too. So I don't idolize these people. I don't know how these people got popular over the last year or two, to be honest with you. I don't know how that happened. It's an alt-right thing for sure, because I see Pepe Franco memes and Pepe, just all kinds of memes and Pinochet memes and all this. And for whatever reason, they got popular, so people have kind of rebirthed their names and put them in some heroic idol, but they really weren't. I mean, maybe economically they kept their country going. Big whoop. There was no greater goals or greater drives of the society. It was essentially just authoritarian conservatism. They squashed the left, which is one of the few admirable things or events that took place underneath these people. So it's good for that, but I'm not going to do videos on these people. It's not. It's, I want to do videos on people that are less heard about, that there's less content out there on them, That's why I do the Bombazzi type videos. I'm gonna do a video on Lord Haha soon enough. I'm gonna, it's why I did videos on Cadrianu and people like that, Sorrel, because there's not a lot of content on them online. With the rest of these people, there are. So, A, it's unnecessary, and B, it's not really a topic I'm interested in or care to elaborate on. Because I find them to be hollow men themselves, too. Outside of being able to squash the left and use a little militarism, I don't see anything that much enticing in them. Now, lastly, I got a little pushback, which I was surprised at, for my Jordan Peterson video, taking clips of him contradicting himself, having this cognitive dissonance. And I don't understand it. I mean, I'd understand it from his fanboys, but I see even a few of my subscribers don't understand where I'm coming from. And here's the basic contradiction. I mean, it seems clear as day to me. On one hand, he's ridiculing the thought you can mold human beings. And he's not only doing this in a Marxist content, even though this is the example he uses. To him, Marxism, fascism, this is all synonymous. These are all the same things. Any kind of government that oversees the market or the media is a no-no to him. And so if you're probably trying to socialize through the government over media and the market, that's a no-no to him. But then he uses an example of kids being properly socialized to become extremely productive. And it's like, well, hey, you're acknowledging it on the micro level. Why wouldn't you apply it to the macro level? If those same positive socialization techniques were used on kids throughout the nation, on teenagers throughout the nation, on adults throughout the nation, wouldn't that be more beneficial? So that's the cognitive dissonance. Because, and here's the big disconnect I find in many of the individualists. They think like free market is actually free. They don't think they're getting socialization from the market. But the reality is, in their world, they get socialization from the merchants. I prefer socialization for people that are ideologically, traditionally, and culturally on par with what I believe, or what I believe to be positive. and that's what fascism advocates. So, first, they don't acknowledge the free market gives the socialization tools to the merchants. And then, what are they going to socialize towards? I mean, look around you. Go look up the stats. Go look up on what Americans are consuming and how their health is. And that'll tell you all you need to know. These aren't theories. These are observations of our current day and where our system has gotten us to. So, anyways, so he contradicts himself. He has this cognitive dissonance where he doesn't realize, well, hey, I'm advocating this on one level, but it's immoral on another level. The fuck sense does that make? It doesn't make no sense. And that's exactly what he's saying. And people are taking the Marxist example too literal. No, he's saying the blank slate. No, he's saying any form of governmental oversight is a no-no, because he believes in this myth that the free market does not affect people, does not mold people. That advertisement does not do this, when it obviously does, because there's billions of dollars put into advertisement to mold people, to make people desire things. So this is a frustrating disconnect I run into many of the individualists and speak with, because it's just completely disconnected from reality. You are going to be affected by your environment. So if you have an environment, whether you like it or not, nature and nurture both play their role. That is a fundamental reality. It's not even the fucking theory or guess or up for debate. That is a fundamental reality. And, to deny that or to say I'm going to put the nurturing, a large part of it, in the hands of corporations and merchants, while proclaiming that's free. No, man, it's a contradiction. It's a fucking contradiction. So I don't see how anyone's pushing back on that. Makes no fucking sense to me. It's a pure contradiction in itself. You can't acknowledge something positive on one level and then say on another level, oh, it's completely immoral. Ah, shut the fuck up. No, it's not. It's not only is it moral, but it's necessary, completely necessary. And once again, the proof is in the eating of the pudding. Go look at what the fuck world you're living in right now. Go look at the society you're living in right now. Docile, fat, weak mass that's being replaced not even through war, but through rhetoric. I mean, it's disgusting. It's laughable. And people still defend this fucking system. It makes no sense to me. I don't understand that mentality. It's completely alien to me. And I'm still a firm believer that it's going to continue. More people will realize that. And then we'll get to a more of a point where we become more collective and nationalistic, et cetera, et cetera. So, gone on for about 20 minutes. I think I've touched on a couple of the last questions I've had.